All right, so we're gonna do a little bit of post-ride mobility here. It's gonna be about 5 to 7 minutes long, but something to just kind of get your hips out of that riding routine. We spend so much of our time on a bike in this position here or pedaling here that our hip flexors get a little bit overworked, our low back gets a little bit overworked. We spend a lot of time accidentally in this anterior pelvic tilt position. So we're going to give a little bit of love to the low back and the hips. We're going to start on our mat. If I can get this one out of the way, we are down here in Moab having an awesome bike trip vacation, but over the last 2 days I've done a lot of riding. I'm a little sore myself, so let's mobilize here just a little bit. We're going to start. You can do this barefoot with shoes on, up to you. I'm going to go barefoot because that feels good for me and it feels nice to have the dirt in my feet. So I'm going to start on my back. Excuse me, Gracie May. Okay, or not. And we're going to start lying on our backs here. And I want you to take your pelvis and I want you to flatten it out so it's nice and flat against the ground. From here, we're going to take some robot arms and we're going to press up into a bridge, pressing your feet firmly into the floor and then lowering back down. We're going to do this 5 times. As you press up, pressing the feet into the ground, slightly squeezing the glutes together, keeping your shoulder blades, as you can see right here, on the mat. Let's go ahead and hit one more, then we're going to add on to this. As we add on, I'm going to roll onto my left shoulder. I'm going to take my right thumb, tap it behind me, rolling back down. These are called bridge rollbacks, and you can take as many as you like. I'm going to do about 3 on each side. Awesome. Good. From here, hands can go down by the side. You can take them out, palms down, or if you want a little bit of a chest opening, as long as the shoulder blades stay down, you can take this cactus position. I'm going to put mine out, palms down. I'm going to make a figure 4 with my right foot. From here, again, making sure that my low back is nice and flat, I'm going to rock the figure 4 toward me and then back down. Taking a few here. These are called figure 4 rollbacks. We're going to add on to them. We're going to add a little bit of strength into that left hamstring and hip as I mobilize through my low back, my SI, and my outer right hip. Perfect. Taking a couple more. By all means, guys, you can make this series a little bit longer if you'd like. I'm going to take one more and roll back from here. I'm going to drop my figure 4, keeping my left shoulder blade on the ground. Excuse me, Gracie. Drop it down, pause, exhale, using my obliques and my low back to bring it back up. Keeping my right shoulder blade on the ground, I'm going to drop over to the left and back up. And we're going to do this just a few times. Again, making sure that you're staying grounded through the upper back. So you're getting those nice spinal rotations here into that low lumbar spine. Awesome. Let's take a few more. Great. Now we're going to take that right foot. We're going to stick it up in the air. We're going to keep the heel flexed as it lowers down. As soon as my heel taps, I'm going to point, bring it up. I'm going to keep my pelvis attached to the mat, so I'm not going to let it rock here. Just doing a little bit of sciatic nerve flossing. Bunch of different ways you can do this, but for this series, we're going to keep it incredibly simple. And I'm going through a little bit of ankle mobility. I'm keeping my foot nice and flat the whole time I was riding. I want to move it a little bit. Awesome. We're going to do the whole thing on the other side, starting with those figure 4 rollbacks. Keeping my left foot nice and flexed. Good. Using my core to keep that low back down nice and engaged. And I'm going to add in that single leg bridge on the right. Guys, this feels so good after riding 21 miles yesterday and about, 11, 12 today? It feels great. Good. Plugging those shoulder blades down, we're going to drop to the left and the right. Now, one hip is always going to be a little more mobile, a little stronger than the other, so don't worry about the sides being completely the same. Ow, Gracie. Hopefully some of you guys also have dogs joining you at the moment. Good. I'm going to take one more on each side, twisting through that low spine. Perfect. The left foot's going to go up in the air. We're going to flex it, keeping the core tight. Low back is down. We're going to lower that heel till it taps, point it, bring it up, moving throughout that ankle. Couple more. Awesome. From here, we're going to go ahead and turn it around. We're going to hit a little bit of cat-cow motion. She really wants to be in the video. So from here, I'm going to tuck my feet down, make sure my eyes and my elbows face each other. And I'm going to do a little bit of scapular push-up. So I'm going to keep the elbows straight, sink down in between my shoulder blades, tuck my chin, and press that mat away from me. So we're going through this motion right here. Again, when we bike, we try and stay pressing away from the bike. So we want to move out of those motions a bit. One more. Now we're going to add the whole spine into it. So as we go up into that cat position, I want you to tuck your chin, press away, really, really push the mat away from you. And then as you cow down, start with your lower pelvis and press back up. So we're moving through that spine. The whole time I'm keeping my glutes nice and strong here. Taking a few more. Awesome, last one. Great, from here let's go ahead and reset. I'm going to take my right foot, stepping it behind me. I'm going to press back into my calf and then slightly bring it forward. Just pressing the heel back. This just feels really nice. And I'm going to switch sides, just taking a couple rounds. All right, from here, now you can either get into this position from two different ways. You can press up into a down dog. So you can press up here, stepping the foot out. Another option, I like to do this one, is I'm going to add a little bit of a hip circle and then step up. I like to keep my back knee down for this one. From here, we're going to let the outer right hip fall open, and then as I close, I'm going to press my right knee into my right tricep. I'm going to hold for about 3 to 5 seconds and then open and close it. Making sure that that left side is nice and square forward. I'm up on my fingertips here. Okay, we're going to take one more. Now from here, I'm going to use that left hand, press away from the floor, right fingertips behind the ear. I'm going to open up big thoracic rotation, and then I'm going to come down, tap the mat. I'm going to slightly turn my back and then bring it down. So I'm rotating around my T-spine, getting a nice stretch into my left hip flexor, and then opening up that right hip. One more. From here, I'm going to sit back slightly, tent up on the fingertips, or you can go right into a down dog. I'm going to bring it around. Let's scoot back so she has room. And I'm going to switch sides. So I'm going to take that big hip circle, stepping it forward, squaring my hips off. I'm sinking that now my right hip flexor down. I'm going to open up that left hip, and then I'm going to squeeze my left knee and my left tricep together, holding for 3 to 5 seconds. Opening, closing. Gracie May, you're not making this easy. We're going to take one more. All right, now we're going to use that right hand pressing away from the mat. Left fingertips behind the ears. I'm going to open up, big T rotation, tapping my elbow down. Option, you can add in the slight circle if that feels good for you, or just keeping it with the opening and the closing. Again, you can take this as many times as you like. Thanks, Grace. From here, sitting back slightly. All right, we're gonna get a little bit of love into the hips and the low back. We're gonna start in like a reverse child's pose. My knees are together, my toes are apart. Excuse me, girl. from here, I'm gonna like push back. I'm gonna think about tucking my tail in between my legs. All right, sis. Thank you. So we're gonna sit back, tuck the tail, good, and then bring it forward. So just moving a little differently here. This is gonna feel real nice on your low back and sacrum. They're called lumbar rollbacks. One more. Now we're gonna open it up, typical child's pose. We're gonna sit back from here, rounding the spine, dropping forward, pressing away from the mat. This is option 1 here. So, catting through that upper back, pressing away from the ground using that serratus push-up, keeping the heels down. Option 2, you can pick up the heels with you as long as you're not wearing your shoulders as earrings. So we're opening up the hips, moving through that spine. Let's take one more. Awesome. From here, we're gonna move on a little bit with one of my absolute favorites. These are called adductor rollbacks. So again, when we're biking, we're in the same plane the whole time. We wanna move outside of that. So I'm gonna kneel on my left leg. My right leg is gonna go out. Hands can go to your hips, squeeze that right glute. We're gonna be working in a more lateral position and getting our adductors or inner thigh here. And we're gonna start just by rotating the toe up and turning it forward. So I'm rotating through that hip. And guys, after riding over 30 miles in 2 days, this feels fucking phenomenal. We're gonna add on to this series. So as I turn my toe up now, you can keep your back foot popped or you can go toes down. I'm gonna pop mine. And we're gonna sit back and then use the quad of that left leg, getting a little love into that quad tendon, which tends to take a beating when we ride. So we want to strengthen it when we're not on our bikes. We want to strengthen it off trail. As you can see, I'm still rotating through the hip. We're going to hit one more, and then we're going to add child's pose onto this. So my toe is going to stay forward. Using that serratus push-up, press away. As I sit back this time, turning my toe, looking at it, and keeping the arms stretched out. You can keep a slight bend in your knee here. Then we're gonna take one more. We're gonna revisit those T rotations. Left hand presses away, right hand behind the ear. I'm gonna open up big T rotation and then close that door. You can rotate the foot here if you'd like. I'm gonna keep mine facing forward. One more. From here, I'm gonna sit up. All right, now we're gonna open that hip up. Felt like that was outstretched. Now it's gonna be right underneath of you. Again, glute is nice and strong on my left leg. Left hand to the hip. You can use a right hand pressing the knee outward. We're gonna glue that right heel to the floor. And we're gonna press open, let your weight bring your knees over your toes, keeping the hips open, holding for about 5 seconds. Bring it back, lifting up the right toes. Pull those toes back. Let's go through it again. Shift it over, glue that right heel, squeezing that left glute, push, 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 knee over toe. Bring it back, lift up the toes. We're gonna do this 5 times. This is time three here. Good, good. Making sure that your knee doesn't roll inward. So you can always keep your hand there if you'd like. Good. You notice is each time you go, you're gonna be able to get a little bit further. One more. All right, we're gonna switch everything to the other way. Excuse me, Grace. All right, we're repeating right here. This will be the end of this series. Watch out, sis, I need to see my foot. All right, sit up nice and tall, squeezing my now right glute, left foot out long. And we're gonna start just by rotating through the hip. I wish I could teach all of my classes out here in Moab and Cane Creek Road after 2 amazing days of biking. It's a goal, right? All right, you know where we're going from here. Toe turns up, and we're gonna sit back. Good. Little baby squat, getting some love, again, into that quad tendon. She could be more helpful, right? She should be filming. So let's take one more because this feels so nice. From here into that child's pose, pressing away from the floor as you roll back and sit back. We're trying to look at that toe. Big range of motion here, really opening up those adductors, flexing those feet back, giving some love into the ankle. Let's take one more. Planting the right hand, left fingertips behind the ears. Big T opener and close. When we're on that bike, our mid back takes a beating as well, especially if you're biking on rocks. We want to go ahead and move through it when we're done. Let's take one more. Sitting it up, opening up the hip. You all know where we're going. Bringing that hip over. As you can see, this side on me doesn't open up as well as the other. Again, that's totally normal, but why we always want to work singular leg movements, work mobility, so we can try and get those muscle imbalances, not as significant on either side. Good. Press it over. There we go. Now we're opening. Lift those hips up, toes up. 2 more. Oh, hello, girl. Last one here. And bring it up. Awesome job, guys. You can use that before, after your bike rides. I like to do that series even in the morning, but add that to your routine, especially after a really long ride. It's going to help you recover better. It's going to start to move through the hips. Again, we're like this all day long, and you're going to be able to get out stronger onto your next ride, guys. I will see you on the trail. Thanks for joining me.